it's also a question of
Well, you get
not
to
just
be very
what.
capable if you go over to the. I don't. You're recording good. There's a man named Sean, who is over by the Cambridge Public Library a lot. He's
Yeah,
got a shopping cart that's filled to the brim, and Sean has been homeless for at least 10 years. Doesn't talk to many people. Will
yeah.
talk to some people,
He'll talk
but
to you, Willie.
no, he actually uh, one of those particular instances where, ironically enough, he would not talk to me initially, and even now, I mean, I say hi and he won't say anything. So what I'm saying is, no, I mean, there's no necessary, shall we say, identification as being homeless. In fact, I'm not even sure he knows that I have been homeless or that, I'm sleeping in the car. He sleeps outside,
Yeah.
usually with a sleeping bag. He's quite fastidious. He is not very very friendly. I mean, I don't think I don't ever see him. Like I'm here in the morning welcoming all the Chinese that come on the tourist buses.
Yeah.
He's not like that.
Did you
Um,
hear that show?
Yeah.
He's
see,
welcoming all the Chinese who come off the tourist bus. How many Chinese come in the tourist bus,
we
George?
have six
How many?
buses,
Six. How many
and
Chinese? They all come to
maybe
visit Harvard.
about 300 people
Yeah.
between maybe between 6:30 and 8 at times.
Uh huh. Uh
I
huh.
mean, we're trying to develop a better communication with them, but essentially Alban Pond initiated free coffee and breakfast for the drivers of the buses.
Yeah.
I mean, the drivers of the buses are key. So then the guides followed them, and the guides,
Wanted the same thing.
no, the
Right.
guides,
Okay.
I don't know if they get the same thing,
All right.
but the guides follow the drivers and
Oh, I see.
bring
I
their
see.
whole
Right.
flock.
I see. Right. Right.
So I mean,
It
you
was a
see
good.
how things work. So I mean, that's sort of
Cost
shall we
effective.
say,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, well, the whole question is, how do you get customers? I mean, if you're a business, you can have the best business in the world if nobody knows about it.
Right.
So you look for people that are like the truck stop
Right.
sort of. I mean, that kind of thing. So anyway, you gotta get some kind of leadership. You always need leaders. You need good leaders. You need intelligent leaders. But
We
we'll
don't
see.
really have that necessarily
No,
always.
you don't. You really don't, and that's why this Paris thing happened. I
What?
mean, you would have expected them to have better detection of AK-47s, and the particular offender, the perpetrator, was involved in 10 arrests and was a suspect, but they didn't have an ankle bracelet on him, and I mean, it's sort of interesting. And the thing is, of course, they won't analyze the psychology of the people, of the offenders, insofar as knowing what that psychology is might enable changes, if were changes to be made in terms of human relations.
Right,
Um,
but you wouldn't want to start profiling people just because they have a psychiatric history.
no, no, but what you would want to do is prevent crazy people from doing crazy things. And if you immediately, recognize that there's a dysfunctional community, and then individuals within that community. I mean, this was something that ISIS took advantage of. I mean, they took advantage of this, of the estrangement of this individual.
Disenfranchised
Yeah,
people, yeah. But
disenfranchised and
yeah,
estranged,
right.
and
But that's
essentially, he was an operative. He was not a as far as we were able to determine
right.
from the news reports, he followed directions directly from ISIS. So, in other words, he
But
sort of pledged his loyalty and faith the
hmm
way the baker or the cashier here pledges their faith to Panera,
hmm
and
hmm
I mean, essentially, he did what he was told. So, insofar as that's the case, I mean, you've got to have ways to sort of create a moral revulsion on his part against anything that would be like this. I
Mm.
mean, that is to say that, there are.
But we don't see that in other disenfranchised groups, like people who are homeless. You don't necessarily find that same kind of
Well, you
reaction.
usually find homeless people are very, shall we say, willing to help. I mean, if you, for example, ask John, who's sitting outside, where where's Harvard Square,
Yeah.
he would tell you.
Yeah.
If you asked him where is the Unitarian Church, he would probably be able to tell you that. He certainly wouldn't say, "Don't ask me." I
Right.
mean, I think you'll find that all those people who are out here uh, with their cups,
Yeah.
stemming is the term used to be. I'm not sure if that's still used,
What's it
but
called? The stem?
stemming,
Stem?
stemming.
How did
Yeah.
that term come about? What
Well,
is?
that came about because of Alcoholics Anonymous, I think, or rather, because of alcoholism. I mean, the stem of the glass.
Oh, I
I
see.
mean,
I
that's
see.
what I'm trying to. That's what I think. But it may have some other origins. I really don't know. I mean, you're holding the
Right.
stem and
Right.
you're
Sure.
waiting for,
Sure. Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and
Not too many wine glasses out there, though,
right,
right?
the days of wine and roses.
Oh, that yeah, that's a great movie. Jack Lemmon, right?
Right, and the apartment.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, in the apartment too. Yeah,
Yeah, he was a Harvard graduate, I believe.
yeah. He was. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was. Yeah, he was
So,
good.
yeah,
Did
still is. I hope he's doing well. I mean,
now?
anyway,
Did,
you'll be old too someday.
oh, I'm feeling it already.
I
I'm
hear you.
feeling it
I
already.
hear you. Just
I'm
keep
47, so.
keep climbing the stairs of Panera. It's free exercise.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but the real thing is that these people are, for the most part, pretty social. Some of them play guitar. I mean, if you think of the performers that have been out here, performing like crazy, hoping to get money,
yeah,
um, it, it, I've often wondered why would anyone think that people would pay to hear them play.
yeah.
I mean, but there are some geniuses, and there have been some stellar performers that have, gone platinum, I think, or gone gold anyway, in terms of records here. So it has happened. So
What's the worst thing about homelessness that you find?
cold. I
The
think the
cold.
cold is definitely the thing that makes it intolerable, because you you really know how many vacant apartments, vacant condominiums, vacant rooms, and you're out in the cold freezing to death. Now, I mean, obviously, Airbnb might change that. They might donate, some quantity of rooms during a slow season so that people have a place to stay. But, like
Are they
here, for
talking about that?
example,
Are they talking about that?
no, they're
No,
not.
no.
But they have, it seems, the most, shall we say, progressive sort of approach to things. But, take for example winter vacation here when the dorms are virtually vacant.
Mm.
Um, a lot of people have gone to Bahamas, to the Caribbean, wherever, Florida. I mean, I've got two friends, they're my age. They
Hmm.
go to Florida each year. One goes in January, the other one goes in March. Um, so what I'm saying is there's like acres and acres of square feet that's vacant, that's heated.
Mm.
And if there was some way, that you could house it, but many people are really scared of that. So you'd have to provide some kind of bond,
Mm.
you'd have to, in other words, it's a yet to be in terms of having an arrangement where you could guarantee the donor of a space that there wouldn't be a mar, that if there were even so much as a scratch, it would be replaced. I mean, and of course, some things are
Mm.
irreplaceable, so you'd have to, I mean,
I guess that's how they feel. I guess it's sort of like, well, it's liability. The concern for liability is so
right.
high these days.
But that and also even knowledge of other people is, well, he comes once, will he come every day? I mean,
Right.
you've got to work out a system so that everything works well, so that all the parties are, and that's what business is about. I
Oh,
mean, that's how Airbnb, that's how Uber. I mean,
right.
Uber saw that there were literally, I mean,
There's,
there's 10 people for every job.
right.
I mean,
Right. Right. Right.
you people that are in school have to realize. I mean, there are a lot of psychologists out on the street. There are a lot of lawyers on the street. There are a lot of PhDs on the street. I mean, people, just because they have a degree and they're geniuses, don't always connect for a variety of reasons.
Family being one of them.
Family
Sometimes
being one of
no
them. The
safety net. No safety net. Right.
dysfunctional police.
Right.
I mean,
Oh, speak about that a
you
little
saw
bit.
what happened in Ferguson.
Yeah.
I mean, and
You
since then there's been, any number of,
have you experienced that here in
oh
Harvester?
yeah,
This the
I was
dysfunctionality of
arrested
the
20
police.
times and dismissed all of them.
Really?
Yeah,
Over what?
trespass.
Trespassing
Yeah.
on
So they
public
charged me,
property, or
no, on private property.
but was it one particular individual or various individuals, or
Various
just was
individuals.
it the police that was prosecuting you, or
Yeah,
the
well,
individuals?
the prosecutor prosecutes you, but the police arrest you.
But the police arrest you after the individual calls them, or
Well,
they by their own volition?
by their own volition after an individual calls. I mean, I don't know. You never know. You never. I mean, this
Right,
is
and this
a
was just for
lack of
sleeping.
transparency.
This was just sleeping. Sleeping. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Just
So
for a place
so
to sleep. Right.
right. So well, sleeping or even like, well, I mean, I won't. I
Yeah. Yeah. Don't
yeah.
have to.
What I'm trying to say is that you'd be amazed at how many cases are dismissed and how many innocent, and yet the real, shall we say, police work that needs to be done, which is to preempt alcoholism, to preempt crime.
Mm.
I mean, alcoholism is a crime. I mean, it's a crime that only. I mean, it's a crime. It's a disease, but
Right.
but people are a danger to themselves or others when they're alcoholics.
Particularly when it's cold up, because the alcohol makes things so much
Exactly.
worse, right? So,
And drug addicts. I mean, cr- really do more crime than non-drug addicts. I think.
is it easier to get a place in a homeless shelter if you're diagnosed as an alcoholic, or no?
Well, as I understand it, Caspar, it's very interesting because I know a number of people. Caspar is the 240 Albany Street in Cambridge, is the homeless shelter for alcoholics.
Okay.
And I know a number of people, I know at least two people. One of them lives in, has a $450,000 condominium that's paid for by the city of Cambridge because he once was an alcoholic.
Okay.
I think he's pretty much recovered now. And as far as I know, I mean, I don't know what his circumstances. He's a really nice guy, and I'm not trying to blow the whistle on him. What I'm saying is that, you know, the sometimes these programs work very well in the sense that people are resolved of their alcoholic problems and end up in suitable living circumstances which they could never afford otherwise, and which is of course affordability. So this is, shall we say, one way in which affordability is provided for.
Hmm.
It's sort of interesting because you're supposed to pay 30% of your rent for housing. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that was the old government, sort of like 40 quarters for Social Security. 30% of your income is supposed to be enough for housing. And for people that are making $10 a week, or $10 an hour rather, I mean, that's $1,600 a month, and studio apartment rents for $1,600. So
Yeah. It
it
doesn't work.
doesn't work very well.
Right.
I mean, especially if there's also, if you have a car, which is almost insane in some ways. But